Hello all, welcome again. Please subscribe to our channel if you did not subscribe. This is a series of VXWorks tutorials happening, and as per the schedule, um, so we finished with the Tornado IDE task and intertask synchronization. The next topic today we're gonna discuss is intertask communication mechanisms available in VXWorks. Okay, underline here. So don't mix up with intertask synchronization and intertask communication. These two are different things. Why? We will mm, we'll see inside. The component to the multitasking routines described in tasks video is the intertask communication facilities. These facilities permit independent tasks to coordinate their actions. VxWorks supplies a rich set of intertask communication mechanism, including shared memory for simple sharing of data, semaphores for basic mutual exclusion and synchronization, which we saw in your previous video, message queues, and pipes for intertask message passing within a CPU. Sockets and remote procedure calls for network transparent intertask communication, and then signals for exception handling. So the optional product is VXMP, provides intertask communication over the backplane for tasks running on the different CPUs. This includes shared semaphores, shared message queues, shared memory, and the shared name database. First, let's get into shared data structures. So the most obvious way of tasks to communicate by accessing shared data structures, because all tasks in VxWorks exist in a single linear address space. Shared data structures between tasks in trivial, see in this figure. Global variables, linear buffers, ring buffers, linked lists, and pointers can be referenced directly by code running in different contexts. So you can see tasks T1, T2, T3 with access shared data and shared memory, shared memory space in the memory. So let's see into the message queues. So this is a full duplex communication using message queue picture. You can see over here, modern real-time applications are constructed as a set of independent but cooperating tasks, while semaphores provide a high-speed mechanism for the synchronization and interlocking of tasks. Often a higher level mechanism is necessary to allow cooperating tasks to communicate with each other. In VxWorks, the primary intertask communication mechanism within a single CPU is message queues. The optional product VXMP provides global message queues that can be used across processors. Message queues allow a variable number of messages, each of variable length, to the queued. Any task or ISR can send message queues to a message queue. Any task can receive messages from a message queue. Multiple tasks can send to and receive from the same message queue. Full duplex communication between two tasks generally requires two message queues, one for each direction, as you can see in this figure. So MSG capital Q capital L IB message queue lib provides Win message queues designed as expressly for VxWorks. Well, let's get into that Win message queues. So here is the table. Have a look at it. Win message queues are created and deleted with the routines as shown in the table. This library provides messages that are queued in FIFO order, that is first in first out order, with a single exception. There are two priority levels, and messages marked as high priority are attached to the head of the queue. A message is created with message queue MSG create. Its parameters specify the message maximum number of messages that can be queued in the message queue and the maximum length in bytes of each message. enough buffer space is pre-allocated for the specific number and length of messages. A task or ISR sends a message to a message queue with MSG queue send. If no tasks are waiting for messages on that queue, the message is added to the queue's buffer of the messages. If tasks are ready, waiting for a message from the message queue, the message is immediately delivered to the first waiting task. A task receives a message from a message queue with MSG queue receive method. If messages are already available in the message queue's buffer, the first message is immediately dequeued and returned to the earlier caller. So if no messages are available, then the calling task blocks and is added to a queue of tasks waiting for the messages. This queue of waiting tasks can be ordered either by task priority or FIFO, that is first in first out, as specified in an option parameter when the queue is created. Both MSG queue send and MSG queue receive take timeout parameters. When sending a message, the timeout specifies how many ticks to wait to buffer space to become available. If no space available to the queue, the message when receiving a message, the timeout specifies how many ticks to wait for message to become available if no message is immediately available. As with the semaphores, the value of the timeout parameter can have the special value of no wait, that is 0, meaning always return immediately, or wait forever, that is -1, meaning never timeout the routine. So urgent messages, MSG queue send function allows a specification of the priority of the message as either normal MSG underscore PRI underscore normal or urgent MSG underscore PRI underscore urgent. Normal priority messages are added to the tail of the list of the queued message, while urgent priority messages are added to the head of the list. So here you can see in this example, task T1 creates the message queue and sends a message to task T2. Task T2 receives the message from the queue and simply displays the message. So after includes then define max messages, max message length, and then message queue underscore ID, my MSG queue ID. Then task 2 get message from queue, if necessary wait until message is available, then display message. So you can see a printf statement, message from the task 1 :n %s/n MSG buffer. Here you can display the message and then create a message. So create a message queue. So by a condition, if my message queue ID equal to message queue create max messages, it takes the parameters max messages, max message length, and MSG underscore queue underscore priority equals to null, return error. Send a normal priority message blocking if queue is full. So then return error, wait forever, and then if it is error, return error. So these two conditions. This is how this is just an example for a Wind message queue program. Let's see servers and clients with message queues. So servers and clients, here in this thing you can see the communication using message queues between the server and clients. Real-time systems are often structured using a client-server model of tasks. In this model, server task accepts requests from the client task to perform some service and usually return a reply. The requests and replies are usually made in the form of intertask messages. In VxWorks, message queues or pipes are neutral way to implement this. For example, client-server communication might be implemented as shown in the figure. Each server task creates a message queue to receive request messages from clients. Each client task creates a message queue to receive reply messages from servers. Each request message includes a field containing the message queue MSG queue ID of the client's reply message queue. Here, server task's main loop consists of reading request messages from its request message queue, performing the request and sending a reply to the client's reply message queue. So the same architecture can be achieved with pipes instead of message queues or by other means that are tailored to needs of the particular application. So this is the message queue browser. To examine a message queue, enter the message queue ID in the browser, show box and click on show. Then it will show like this. Then let's get on to the pipes. As I already discussed, the same architecture can be achieved with pipes instead of message queues. Right. Pipes provide an alternative interface to the message queue facility that goes through the VxWorks IO system. Pipes are virtual IO devices managed by the driver pipe DRV. The routine pipe dev creates a pipe device and the underlying message queue associated with that pipe. The call specifies the name of the created pipe, the maximum number of messages that can be queued to it, and the maximum length of each message. So here you can see status equal to pipe device create in colon slash pipe name slash pipe slash name max messages and max length. The created pipe is normally named IO device. The task can use the standard IO routines to open, read and write pipes and invoke the IOCTL routines. As they do with the other IO devices, tasks block when they read from an empty pipe until data is available, and block when they write to a full pipe until there is space available. Like message queues, ISRs can write to a pipe but cannot read from a pipe. You should note this. Like message queues, ISRs can write to a pipe but cannot read from a pipe. As IO devices, pipe as IO devices, pipe provides one important feature that message queues cannot: the ability to be used with select SELECT routine. This routine allows a task to wait for a data to be available or any of a set of IO devices. The select routine also works with the other asynchronous IO devices, including network sockets and serial devices. So I repeat, the select routine also works with other asynchronous IO devices, including network sockets and serial devices. Thus, by using select, a task can wait for a data on a combination of several pipes, sockets and serial devices. Pipes allow you to implement a client server model of inter-task communication. So just as if in the message queues we talked about, right? This is how we create a pipe, and these are all the drivers. And then so this is just examine this. We will move on to the signals and then basic signal routines available. So VxWorks supports a software signal facility. Signals asynchronously after the control flow of a task. Any task or ISR can raise a signal for a particular task. The task being signaled immediately suspends its current thread of execution and executes the task specified signal handler routine the next time it is scheduled to run. The signal handler executes in the receiving task context and makes use of the task stack. The signal handler is invoked even if the task is blocked. We should note one thing: signals are more appropriate for error and exception handling than as a general purpose intertask communication mechanism. In general, signal handlers should be treated like ISRs. No routines should be called from a signal handler that might cause the handler to block. Because signals are asynchronous, it is difficult to predict which resource might be unavailable when a particular signal is raised. To be perfectly safe, can only those routines that can safely be called from an ISR. Deviate from the practice only when you are sure your signal handler cannot create a deadlock situation. We will talk about deadlock in future videos. Okay, this is the basic signal routines. This table shows basic signal calls BSD and POSIX 1003.1b. Okay, so you can see signal kill raise, compatible calls for POSIX, signal suspend, sig pending, sig empty set, sig fill set, sig add set, sig del set, sig member set, sorry member, sig proc mask, sig proc mask, and Unix BSD, that is basics BSD compatible call signal kill, sigvec pause all. The description is shown in below. So let me brief this. The colorful name kill remains one of the origin these interfaces in Unix BSD, although the interfaces vary the functionality of BSD style signals and basic POSIX signal is similar. In many ways, signals are I'm sorry. In many ways, signals are analogous to hardware interrupts. The basic signal facility provides a set of 31 distinct signals. Okay, a signal handler binds to a particular signal with sigvec or sig action in much the same way that an ISR is connected to the interrupt vector with int connect method. A signal can be asserted by calling kill method. This is analogous to the occurrence of the interrupt. The routines sig set mask and sig block or sig mask PROC mask let signals are selectively inhibited. Okay, we should note here certain signals are associated with hardware exceptions. For example, bus error, illegal instruction, and floating point exception raise specific signals. Okay, this is not generic, you can say. So the basic signal facility is included in VxWorks by default with include underscore signals located under kernel components in the project facility. Before your application can use POSIX queued signal, they must be initialized separately with sigq init. Okay, like basic signals initialize function sig init, this function is normally called from usr user init in usrconfig.c after sysinit runs. Should note one thing, to initialize the queued signal functionality, also define include underscore POSIX underscore signals located under POSIX components in project facility. With that definition, sigq init is called automatically. The routine sigq init allocates n queues buffers for use by the sigq, which requires a buffer for each currently queued signal. See the reference entry for sigq init. A call to sigq fails if no buffer is available. I repeat, the routine sigq init allocates n queues buffer for use by sigq, which requires a buffer for each currently queued signal. You should see the reference entry for sigq init. A call to the sigq fails if no buffer is available. Okay, this is how we configure the signal. Okay, then on a summary, you can see you saw that shared memory often used in conjunction with semaphores, lstlib and rnglib can help. Message queues, msg queue create, queue send, queue receive. Pipes, pipe device create, access pipe via file descriptor written from open. Use write read to send receive message from a pipe. That thing we will see in the basic input output coming video. So thanks for watching. please subscribe to our channel. The next topic will be basic input or output. Please subscribe to channel by clicking the subscribe button. Visit, share with your friends, and please support. Thank you.